How's it going? This video is going to be talking about tax havens, particularly the Panama Papers, which were called the Paradise Papers. That's what we're just going to be going over very quickly. And this is also in a movie called The Laundromat, so you can check that out. It's a pretty interesting one. Alright, so Panama Papers here are 11 million leaked documents that detail financial and attorney-client privilege information for like 214,000 plus offshore entities. So they date back from the 70s and they were taken from one law firm called Mossack Fonseca. All right. So the documents have personal financial information about wealthy individuals and public officials that have been kept private. All right. So reporters found that some of the shell corporations formed in this company were used for illegal purposes, including fraud, tax evasion, evading international sanctions, and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is briefly that, and let's see. I want to see some of the people who were implicated in this. So the people named. So we have so many different people, like here. Former heads of state mentioned, Argentinian president, Sudanese president, former emir of Qatar. So former prime ministers, prime minister of Georgia, Ukraine, Moldova, Jordan. The leaked files identified 61 family members and associates of prime ministers, presidents, and kings. And people who know how people hide money know that sometimes they use their children or anyone they trust's money, like in The Wolf of Wall Street, when Jordan Belfort was looking for a rat hole. He went to his aunt in London, and he had so many different rat holes. So all of these are rat holes. Brother-in-law of China's paramount leader, Xi Jinping, Malaysian Prime Minister's son, children of Pakistani ministers. So all of these people were hiding money. Jacob Zuma's nephew, grandson of this president, where is he from? Kazakhstan, personal secretary of Moroccan king, former U.S. The son of Kofi Annan, Mark Thatcher, son of Margaret Thatcher. So all of these people, Peter Nieto, Mexican president, Spanish royal family. So this was all coming. Oh yeah, and Jackie Chan is mentioned in the leaked documents as a shareholder in 6 companies based in the Virgin Islands. So the leak was crazy. All right, so let's go to the firm. So look, so this is the firm where the leak came from, and it's only known because of this. So it was at one time the world's 4th largest provider of offshore financial services. So this just got me thinking. So this is one of many, and what's the top 10 like? So who's in the top 10 firms? The top 10 firms. So from 1977 up until 2016, with the publication of the Panama Papers, when people knew what they were doing since the 70s, it remained mostly obscure, even though it sat at the heart of the global offshore industry and acted for about 300,000 companies. So now this is where it gets funny, and some of the information in this video is not in the movie, obviously, because it's a movie, so they can't really tell you everything that's going on. So the more you dig into this, you see like, alright, there's like more to it, but more power to them for actually making that movie, because I enjoyed it and it made me really understand this stuff more than I had before. So yeah, cool. But anyway, this is very important. More than half are registered in British tax havens as well as in the UK. Alright, we're just gonna touch briefly on that in a second. The firm received worldwide media attention when the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists published information about the client's financial dealings. So this leak was massive. On March 14, 28, the law firm announced it was shutting down. It better. Because of the economic and reputational damage inflicted by the disclosure of its role in the global tax evasion by the Panama Papers. So this single firm shut down, right? Just one firm, and others are still operating. This is just a glimpse into how these types of firms work. So the firm was founded by German lawyer Jürgen Mossack in 77, joined by Panamanian novelist and lawyer Fornesca. This is where we get the name Mossack Fornesca. It later added a third director, Swiss lawyer Chris Zolliger. So, when we talk about the Swiss, we know what we're talking about. Talking about money and banking. It specialized in commercial law, trust services, investor advisory, and international business structures. It offered IP protection and maritime law services. An international memorandum revealed that 95% of the company's work was selling vehicles, not cars, vehicles like financial instruments, to avoid taxes. So this is all they did. They were making sure that rich people do not pay taxes in their countries. And some of these rich people come from countries such as Sudan, where people need their taxes. But they were facilitating that through Panama. So in 2013, the firm was described as one of 7 that collectively represented more than half the offshore companies. So there's like a big fish type company scenario. So they've been operating for over 40 years. So definitely they were one of the big ones. Imagine how old something like Google is. Like what, 10, 15 years. They've been operating since the jump in the 70s. All right, when like hedge funds started, they were like already operating. So they were huge, and one of 7 that were big. So the top 10, again, the top 10. I wonder how big the top 10 goes, because this was not the biggest one, but then they had over 250,000 different companies. That's crazy. So the firm also housed several Panama incorporated companies within its offices. One of the largest, not the, one of the largest firms in the corporate services industry. However, the founder claims that its volume represents only 5% of the global financial services legal industry, of which I think it is close to that. According to The Economist, the firm has 5 to 10% of the global shell company market. So, in any case, it was not the biggest from what we can see, and we'll get into that in a bit. And it has been described as tight-lipped, all right? So, it has offices in China, Latin America, US, Europe, Switzerland, obviously. Lawyers from the firm were sent to foreign countries to promote businesses, and it also is in the Virgin Islands. This is American territory. British territory, and there's a US Virgin Islands. The firm was consulted by the Company of New when it was sought to become an offshore financial center. So yeah, they are all over the place, and then all of these things happened. So the Panama Papers leak, this is why we know them. So we have 11.5 million different documents, which is 2.6 terabyte of data. That's a lot, yo. So approximately 90% of our, so this is their statement, right? Approximately this is in addition. However, the company has said that responsibility for potential legal violations may lie with failures or lapse by their institutions, given that approximately 90% of our clientele is comprised of professional clients such as international financial institutions, as well as trust companies and prominent law accounting firms, to act as intermediaries that are regulated in the jurisdiction of their business. These clients are obliged to perform due diligence in their clients in accordance with the KYC email. So they're just saying like, all right, we didn't know what these guys were doing, basically. And no. So this is what was going on, right? So with the Panama Papers leaks, so many people were implicated. All of these people, right? And all of these are very, very, and some of these people are like sanctioned, All right, like a Virgin-based island shell company founded by North Korean banker and British banker Nigel Cowie, also ignored international sanctions, continued to do business with North Korea to help with the help of the Panamanian firm. This is just a random statement. So when you actually go deep into what they were doing, it's actually pretty insane. So so here, foundations firms offshore customers through banks. So a lot of these banks in these countries, right, had so these are the banks, and this is the country, and the clients in the banks requested for a foundation. So these foundation is how they actually just hide the money. So the bank will be this one, Experta Corporate Trust Services, and I don't know how many clients they were, but then that bank in Luxembourg opened 1,000 foundations, right? And some banks in Spain, some other ones in Luxembourg opens 465 foundations just so that they can hide money. So it's actually pretty crazy. So so what they were just saying is that they were not involved in the illegal activities. What they were just doing was doing things that are actually not part of a break. Like they're not criminal activities in their countries, even though they're dealing with South Korea and all of that stuff. But then so you could just read all of this. But then now I want you to understand something. This is important. Alright, now in fact we'll just go back to the beginning. I say that I'm gonna touch on that in a second about so documents were taken back. So I'm looking for a certain statement. Was it here or in this one here? Alright, great. So more than half are registered in the British tax havens as well as the UK. So now when we go to Britain, right, this is important. So when we go to the city of London, what we're talking about is not like London. We're talking about a city of London as a corporation. This is what it's called. So the City of London Corporation, officially and legally, okay, official name and legal name. The mayor and commonality and citizens of the City of London is the municipal governing body of the City of London. All right. So, the historic centre of London and the location of much of the United Kingdom's financial sector. So, when we talk about the UK's financial sector as implicated in the Panama Papers, we're talking about a corporation called City of London Corporation. Alright? So, in 2006, the name was changed from Corporation of London to the City of London Corporation. From this to that. As the corporate body. So it's a corporate body, the City of London, London itself, UK's financial sector is a corporate body. Needed to be distinguished from the geographic area. So this is plain. Geographic area is different from the corporate area, thus avoiding confusion with wider London local government, the Greater London Authority. Both businesses and residents of the city or square mile, that's what they called, are entitled to vote in city elections, and in addition to its functions as a local authority, analogous to the undertaking of the 32 boroughs to administer. Yeah, so they have their own city, their own everything, their own Lord Mayors called William Russell. All right, and they all serve like for a year. This is the City of London. This is a corporate institution. All right, so this is the City of London. All right, and it is not like it is a corporation. It's a corporate body which facilitates dealings such as those in the Panama Papers. So they didn't even mention this in the movie. Of course, they can't just mention the UK like this. But so they have their own committees. They have everything that they need. So everything that happens in London happens through the corporation. So let's see. So everything, education and stuff like that. So, all right, this is the City of London website, all right, and this is the Lord Mayor. Let's see. So this is the Lord Mayor, William Russell, and I just clicked on the home page. So this is the Lord Mayor, about the city corporation, law, historic government, Lord Mayor, Mansion House, how we make decisions, police. They have their own police. They have their own voting, own councillors, own budget, everything. All right. So this is where some of this money is actually coming from. So they have their own governing body. So own budgets. They have a lot of money, and a lot of this money is externalized. So when you look at the GDP of, say, UK or London, it's not reflective of all of these other activities that are hidden in plain sight. So, so this is the Lord Mayor. This guy, probably never heard of him. So William Russell. So he's just gonna be in power for like a year. So he is a British financier, because he's running a corporation. So he's a financier, and finance, it's linked to those Panama Papers type stuff. So he is a 692nd Lord Mayor. So you can go through the whole list. But then he's gonna be in charge until 2021 and doing his financing stuff. So a financier is an investor, is a person that allocates capital with the exception of future financial return to gain an advantage. So all of these investments, equity, debt, real estate, whatever, this is what they're doing. And this is what the city is actually about. So this person, so this is pretty much him. Well honored, coats of arms, so like this is some real stuff. This is also very interesting. So when we look at the city of London, they have their own governing bodies, their own, like, it is actually functional, and it is extremely powerful, because they are an entity that has a lot of clout, and they are also, this is their own building, so they are also able to like make decisions and have their own leaders, jurisdiction, their own diplomacy. And this is not a country, that's the thing, it's a corporation, it's a company. So however, the British Empire was, like, when we talk about the British Empire, right, this was the seat of power. It was a corporation. And I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, I've gone over like different ways that countries were colonized. Like, for example, the Dutch East India Company was a Dutch company that was colonizing people, and it colonizing land, and it ended up colonizing in the same way that countries ended up doing. And when you look at companies such as the BSAC, these are the companies that came and colonized Africa. Africa was not colonized by Britain and everything. They were colonized by corporations. And we called it Britain because it's really indistinguishable when you are not aware of what they're talking about in double speak, so to speak. So when they say like, hey, we were colonized by Britain, no, we were colonized by the British South African Company, the BSAC, which was led by a person called Cecil John Rhodes. When you look at how they invaded the Americas, they went with the London Company. That's what occupied America. It was a London Company. So there was a London company, and I believe it was another French company. Those two companies went there and set up shop. They were corporations, and that's what they are today. So this is the same thing that's happening. So when we are looking at these, more than half of the Mossack Forensica, these Panama Papers, are registered in British tax haven. So what they do is that the company now, the corporation or London, externalizes all of this risk, and then they take them to the islands that they own. So they'll take them like to an island where no one really pays attention to what happens on that island. But then this is where like a lot of their money is. So they say more than half are registered in British tax haven. So Britain is is deep in this game, but as well as China and the US and Europe and obviously Switzerland, like, so all of these territories like the British Virgin Islands and stuff like that. So they're the places where all of this money is held, and places like the City of London are the actual governance of the London economy, which is the financial center of the entire UK. So this is a very big deal. All right. So so here we're gonna look for some of the territories. All right. Where is it? So economy, politics, geography. So let's go to the geography of the UK. Alright, I thought it was just gonna be easier. But anyway, they have a lot of different islands, and it would take me a while to like go over all of them. Well, I can't really see them. Alright, so like the British Isles, whatever. Alright, we'll look into that in a second. In fact, let's do that right now. So so here I am on Financial Secrecy Index. Alright. So this site just tells me about countries that have secrets. So this is a tax justice network. So it shows me an interactive map of tax justice network financial secrecy index. So what we're going to be doing is looking at the different countries in 2020 and looking at this map. So we have this map here, and it's showing us these big balls and the blue ones. So the blue ones are showing us smaller places, while the big ones are showing us countries that have a lot of stuff to hide in terms of taxes. So for example, if I hover over this, it will tell me South Africa is ranking 58 in the secrecy index. It's supposed to be non-existent, that would be the best, but it is there at 58, right? And then if I hover over Hong Kong number 4. So all of these countries, and Macau number 31. But wait, okay, Taiwan number 13. So this is where money is being hidden. So this is why when they are going over the Panama Papers, they'll just say like, yeah, it's just like 5% of what's happening. But a lot of money, Macau, Hong Kong, China number 25. So a lot of secrecy goes on there. Japan number 7. US number 2 in terms of ranking, and now the Cayman Islands number 1. So the Cayman Islands is basically where all the money comes from. Like America having a $20 trillion economy, how much is moving in the Cayman Islands? So in one island, I think it is an African island where, let's find it, I think it's the Seychelles. Yeah, Seychelles, of which the Seychelles is ranking number 95. Very, very small. But then they were saying that in this tiny island, over $2 trillion was moved. And the whole GDP of Africa, guess what it is? The whole GDP of Africa. On this tiny, tiny speck on the Seychelles, 2 trillion was moved. Not to mention this other place, number 51. Not to mention South Africa, number 58. Or Nigeria, number 34, right? But on this tiny little island, 2 trillion was moved. But the GDP of Africa is 1.2 trillion. So this is a big deal, all right? And when you go to all of these your northern countries, so yeah, all right. So let's just scroll down. So FSI is the world's most comprehensive assessment of. All right, this is not like actually this channel, because it's actually FSI as well, which is Financial Service Institution. So FSI, this is Financial Secrecy Index, is the world's most comprehensive assessment of secrecy of financial centers and the impact of that secrecy on global financial flows. So when we're following the money, we have to look at this. So for you to understand the world's financial system globally, this is a key. You have to know this. So obviously you're not gonna hear all of this from a movie, because they tell you so that you don't know. Anyway, so this one here, right here at the top, is the one that is the most secretive. And what's your guess? What's your guess? And this one's the one that's the least secretive, Estonia, but it's not supposed to be on the list. There's not supposed to be any secrecy. So the number one, the U.S. Right, the U.S. So in the movie, they do talk about Delaware and some U.S. states. I mean, they can't avoid it because it's so high up the scale. And then we're looking at places like Singapore. They hide all of their money. Luxembourg, very, very huge. The UK, of course. This is what we're talking about, the London Company and all of those territories. Hong Kong, Switzerland, of course. You can't talk money without talking Switzerland. Cayman Islands, right? So all of this, this company actually ranks this in all the different ways. So you can just go on this site, just go through this if you were really interested in it. So it shows you like the Cayman Islands. So this would be one of so they have this FSI value which they assign according to how they measure this. All right. So the least countries with the least secrecies, at least they might be using their money better. All right. But then when we look at these countries in red, this is where all of the money is being externalized. So if we go to the Cayman Islands, we see that a lot of the money in the US goes through the Cayman Islands, and Switzerland has everybody's money. Hong Kong as well. This is where all the Chinese money is. So as China develops, a lot of the money is externalized through Hong Kong. Singapore is basically all of Asia. Luxembourg, one of the top ones as well. And Japan, Netherlands, British Virgin Islands always mentioned, and the Emirates. So as you can tell, there were a lot of people implicated from such countries. The UK is put down here because what it does, it externalizes all of its money, so you won't know if the money is in Jersey or if it's in the Bahamas. But then they have it down to a science. But then you can just go through this thing, this website, this app. It will show you the financial secrecy index and all of those things that you need to know. So, through all of this, we see that all of these countries have a lot of things that they are doing that are very shady, and it is important to just know how all of this happens, so that we can tell how the money is flowing internationally. And I'm not advocating for this, but this is a reality. So yeah. So this is how you can find out certain things that you might want to know. So we went over the Panama Papers, we went over Mossack Fonseca, we went over the City of London and part of the UK, and we just looked at William Russell, the current Lord Mayor, and we are now looking at the financial secrecy index that shows the different tax havens in the world. So we're just gonna stop here and pick it up at another point. But for now, I really thank you for watching this, and if you like financial movies, just watch The Laundromat, and yeah, maybe you get a thing or two, but there's way more to what they were saying. That was just a drop in the huge ocean, but there is way more to all of this stuff. And I think I'll make another updated video on tax havens and go over the different countries that benefit the most, such as Luxembourg, Monaco, Singapore, Hong Kong. Very, 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 very small places that have a lot of financial weight in this world that we live in. So yeah, thank you. I'll leave you with this, and just check out some of the links below and grab a book. So see you soon. Take care.